Welcome back to the Copado Architect Corner. Today we're talking about setting up a Copado Learning Playground. Welcome back to the Copado Architect Corner. One of the great things about the Salesforce environment is that you can be in the trailhead, you can spin up a dev sandbox, you can spin up a trailhead sandbox, and you can really get your hands deep in trying things out and learning. It's an amazing ability with a low barrier to entry to get your hands on. Now we're talking about using Copado. And with Copado, with CICD, we're going to be moving work product between a dev sandbox, QA sandbox, all the way up to a production environment. Now that means we don't need just one environment in order to be able to make Copado work. We need a few. Now Copado offers the ability to set up a learning playground, and it actually sets up 7 different Salesforce environments. And we're going to walk through that setup. Now, there's a little bit of things you need to do to get it set up. I'm going to walk you through those setup items and connect it to a GitHub. We're going to get it all dialed in, and maybe we'll do a simple change and promote it up an environment or two. So this is the steps to set up a Copado source format. That's the latest version of Copado using the latest version of Salesforce's metadata format, source format, which has more granularity on deployments. So we're going to be setting up a new playground. Now, step 1 is come to our community, success.copado.com, and then you'll be landing on the homepage. Make sure you set up an account on our community. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to Training, My Playgrounds. Now, right now, you're allowed 2 different playgrounds, and I have one already set up, but we're going to set up a new one. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new Copado org, and we're going to walk through the details for creating that. I may pause at certain points. All right. So we're going to read and agree. And now we're going to choose a Copado playground, and we're going to choose that it is source format. That gives us the latest source format metadata API that Salesforce uses with the best granularity. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to give this a name, CAC, for the Copado Architect Corner. And so this is going to give us the steps, and I'm going to continue. Now what it's going to do is it's going to ask for a username. Now, all of you that are familiar with Salesforce know that the username is in the format of an email, but what I can do is I can alter it. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to use my steve@twinshark.com, and then I'm going to do .cac for the Copado Architect Corner. And then I'm going to submit. Now, what's happening right now is we're actually triggering Salesforce to be spinning up a new environment. And so there's going to be a fair amount of activity. What I'll be doing is I'll be waiting out a little bit of time. And then when I come back, I'll talk about how much time I waited between each step. All right, now I'm back. And it took about 5.5 minutes for me to receive this email, which is telling me that it's spun up a new environment for the trailhead. So this is a new Salesforce environment that'll represent our trial org. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to give it a new password and a security question. And this will be giving me access to the primary org. So what I have here is I have entered a new password. I've entered a pet's name of Spot, and I'm going to change the password. So this is giving me control into the primary Copado environment. We would call this the Copado Governance Org. So this gives me the control of where Copado will be operating. Now I'm back over here, and what I'm going to do is it's telling me that it has been created, and I'm going to continue. And so now I'm going to say we're going to log in with Salesforce. So now what I'm going to do is I have set up the environment, and it's asking me to log in to that environment. And I'm going to put in the password that I had used. So now this is the password I just created. What's happening now is this is OAuth scope. It's Salesforce. The org is asking, should Copado have the ability to act on my behalf? And we're going to say allow. So this org is going to be what's called the Copado Governance Org that will control the Copado activities, creating user stories, triggering deployments, and as such. Now we're back to the success environment, and it's going to walk us through the steps to create the additional environments and the additional steps for configuration. So I'm going to get continue. Now we're going to be asked to connect to a GitHub. Now I already have a GitHub environment, and you will need one. What I'm going to be doing is clicking here and authenticating with my GitHub. So click the link. All right, so it's going to wait for the GitHub to pop open. I'm going to go on pause. Now you'll notice that it's checked because in another tab, I had already authenticated into GitHub, and that had allowed me to connect. So because of that, I am now going to be connected. Now what's going to happen is it's going to trigger Salesforce to create a set of scratch orgs. These are orgs created on a temporary basis. For us, it'll be the 30 days, which will then allow us to treat them as different environments, treat them as a dev 1, dev 2, and as such. Now, while it's processing, I'm going to be walking you through what we're going to be creating. And so it's the scratch orgs will create a dev 1 and a dev 2. These are an SFP, source format playground. And then it'll be going to an integration environment. This represents where the work of two different developers should meet prior to going, like this could be your QA environment. We'll just call it an int environment. Then there'll be an additional promotion to a UAT environment. And then to production, all of these with the suffix SFP, source format pipeline. And these are going to be temporary, STX environments used to generate. We also, let me correct this. Okay, quick correction. This one down here is going to be the hotfix source format pipeline. What this will allow us to do is to simulate a primary path from dev to int to UAT to production, and then the ability to do a hotfix straight into production. So this is going to be the pipelines that'll be created. Now, I just received a series of emails for the finishing of these environments. And so you're going to see dev 2 SFP, production SFP, int SFP, dev 1 SFP, hotfix SFP, UAT SFP. So each one of these is a separate Salesforce environment that what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving it a clean password. And so what I'll do is right here is I can just start at the first one. And what I will do is then get an email to represent the access. And you can see I get a verification code confirming I have control. Paste it in. And now I get the ability to change the password. So from here, I'm going to change the password. And now I'm in a different sandbox. So this is different than the one we were in before. This is a developer one. What I will proceed to do is I will proceed to work through all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sandboxes. And I showed that to you in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, the first org that was created was the governance org. That's the one that has the command and control. Now what we're doing is we're going to be creating these 6 and they're already created, and we're going to give them their passwords. I will be walking through and doing that offline, and I will let you know when I'm done. So here is the production one. That's number 2. And you'll notice it'll have a different URL. I've already done another one, but here is a dev one, just showing you again. So as I go through these, each one requires a verification code, and then each one will require me to type in a new password. This is us simulating the environment. And here's the last one. You'll see it's asking for a verification code. I will grab it from my email. I will place it in here. Could be a little tedious. Remember, this is not Copado. This is Salesforce security. We're ensuring that you have access, independent, safe access to each of these environments. And here's the last one. So what we have just created might be a little confusing, is we have just created 6 sandboxes and 1 primary governance org. And I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to show you how you can see this quickly. So I'm back to my success community. This is completed. Now what I'm going to do is hit continue. So we are back to the community, which is driving the creation of our environments. Now what we're going to do is we need to grant OAuth access. So that way Copado, it has access. So I'm going to click in here. And let's watch what happens. This is granting the Copado Success community access to your new trial org so it can continue. There it is. It's connecting to the trial org. And now what we're going to do, this is necessary so it can access in. So here is our simulated production. We're going to allow access through the OAuth scope. Now, because I had just done this in my browser, it had my session token, so I didn't need to log in again. Had you come in separately, you might have had to put in those credentials you created. And now we're going to go log in with my hotfix. I'm going to grant it OAuth access. This allows it to have subsequent access through the OAuth. And I'm working my way through each of these environments, granting that this is granting the Copado Success community the ability to get in and see it, to set up these. This is not what you do in production. This is just setting up our learning environment. And it's going to be very, very helpful when you return again. And I'll be showing you why. So allow these scopes. And here's my dev one, allowing the scope. These are the OAuth scopes, granting it access. Now we're going to hit continue. Now it's going to be setting up our source format pipeline. I'm going to give it a pause. I'll let you know how long it takes. Now I'm pressing continue and it's ready. So I'm going to hit enjoy. Now this is a really powerful screen you're going to be able to return to. This is going to give you single click access to A, your governance org, and then B, each of the different simulated development, production, or QA UAT environments. Now what we're going to do is let's take a look at Git. Now when I come into my Git, I have a new repo here, which is this Copado CICD source format. So I'm going to click on this project. And this project was created by the Playground. And you'll even notice that it has certain branches. It has a branch for each of our environments. These are called our environment branches. This will be important in a few minutes. But here we have our Copado CAC, Copado Architect Corner, source format pipeline, and it has been set up with this project, and we have our environment branches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open the Governance Org. So we're going to click the Open button, and this will trigger us to go into the Copado Governance Org. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go find the pipeline. So I'm going to go to the pipelines, and this has created a trial pipeline here. This is the pipeline created by the playground. And this will show me my pipeline. Now there's something we're going to want to do is if we can go take a look at it through Pipeline Manager with a single click on the pipeline, then I will be able to see it visualize. And now you see this pipeline. So we have a dev environment with dev 1 and a dev 2. We have a integration or QA going to UAT with a parallel hotfix going to production. Now we're not set up yet. We have a few things we need to take care of. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the pipeline. And the way there are components that bring these connections together, and they are through what's called the structure. And that is where we have these pipeline connections. This is connecting each environment to the other. Now, what we need to do is we are actually missing, and there is one field. We have our source branch, but we want to see our destination branch. So what I'm going to be doing is, what we're going to do is this is a certain position things have to be. So we have the visual diagram of our pipelines here. We can see if I go on the pipeline record for this pipeline, which is a flow to production. What you can also do is you can take a look at the structure and you have pipeline connections. These connect environments to each other. So this connects dev 1 to integration, dev 2 to integration, integration to UAT, UAT to production, hotfix to production. So this represents the connection. If I go into one of these environments like dev 1, then you see that there is a credential because this is an environment that could have many developers, many users. Copado needs a credential to get in. And so right now it has a single credential into each one of these. And if I were to click on the credential, we can see that the credential is validated. And then I can even use that to open the credential, which actually means take me to that environment. So I can go into that environment. So you could be, I have to unblock my pop-ups. We'll always allow. And we're going to open the credential again. And what this is doing is this is taking me to that environment. With just a couple of clicks, I'm actually taken into that Scratch Org environment representing my dev 1. So I'm in my dev 1 environment. I could have also gone to this cheat sheet and just found my dev 1 and opened it. So what we are now is we are in our equivalent of our dev 1. I'm going to show you how I can confirm that. I can go to the profile, I can go to the settings, and I can see that it has my dev 1 profile. Now what we're going to do is we are in dev 1. We're going to make a simple change. We're going to go add a custom field. Let's go to setup. And let's just add a custom field to the account object. So we're going to go to Object Manager, Account, and we're going to go Fields, and we're going to create a new one. And then we are going to add a checkbox. We're going to hit Next. And we're going to go Is CAC, Copado Architect Corner. So there's an Is CAC. We'll hit Next. There's the profiles, hit Next, and the page layout, and we're going to hit Save. So we have just created a new field on the account object in Dev 1. We're going to be back to our pipeline manager, and now we're back into our governance org. So this is our primary governance org. And you're just going to need to be comfortable kind of toggling between them. And from here, we're going to create a new user story. So here's user stories. And I'm going to create a new user story. And it's going to be a user story. Next. And then we're going to walk through creating the field. So we'll just call that CAC new field on account. All right. We're going to add it to the trial project. We won't do an epic. We don't need a feature. What we're going to do is we're going to say right here that, and we'll even skip the user story and the acceptance criteria. So we just have the new field on account. And what we're going to do is hit save. So this is a new user story on the field. Now what we're missing is Copado doesn't know where the change has been made. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift from plan to build. We're going to go right here in credential and we're going to search, and we know we made the change in dev 1. So we're going to go into dev 1 right here and hit save. And so now it's read that it knows that I made the change in dev 1, not dev 2 or any of the other devs. And then what I'm going to do is we need to add the metadata. So what we can do is go commit changes. So we know that we added a single field to the account object. It's going to go connect to that org. It's going to find that one change, and it's going to identify it. So we're going to be on the commit page. And you'll see what it's doing is it's going to take a few seconds. It's going to go connect up, and it's going to look for changes. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for changes in the last bit of time. I'm going to go get changes, and it's searching that environment for any changes that have been made. And you'll notice that it found it. So with just a moment, it found the is CAC. So we're going to add that to our commit. We're going to leave out the report type, the profile. We will add it to the, let's just do the custom field only. We'll leave out the additional changes, and we're going to commit. So what we're doing is we have this new commit where we're going to commit it to the user story. And now what it's doing, it's going to connect to Git, and it's going to make that commit. And now it's still sitting in dev 1, but we've created the user story and have it dialed in. We're going to go back up to the user story. And from here, we have access, to be able to see it. So we know that we built. We can see that it has the commit. And then we can then test if there were any tests, pull requests, or we can deliver. And what we can do is do a quick promote and deploy. What we're going to do is take a quick moment. We're going to go into our playground, and we know that the next environment is int. So we're going to use this shortcut and jump over to int, and we're going to make sure the field is not there yet. So this is a different environment. This is int. We're going to go to setup. We're going to go to Object Manager. We're going to go to Account. And we're going to go to Custom Fields. So there is no custom field here called CAC. Now what we're going to be doing is coming back. So this was on our int environment. We're going to come back into our, you got to keep track. So here we are in the Copado Governance Org. We're going to do Promote and Deploy, which is a one-step push forward. Since it's just a metadata change, it should be simple. We're going to hit save. And what this is going to do is this is going to trigger Copado to deploy this up the pipeline. And so what I can come right here is it's going to begin and start moving this through. And if I were to go back from here, we'll duplicate this, keep this open, and we're going to go to the pipeline. And into the trial org. Now what we can do is go take a look at Pipeline Manager. and we can actually see our change being made. So that what's going to happen is our change is already this little spinning right here is telling me that it is deploying to dev to int with my story. And we'll pause and wait for it to finish. So now you see a checkbox, and you'll notice that dev2 is one story behind. And what we're going to do is we're going to go look into int sp. And we knew that because we were here. And we did not see the CAC field. I'm going to refresh my screen. All I'm doing is refreshing. And now I can see the is CAC has been deployed. So just like that, what we've done is we have created a user story, created the commit, and did promote and deploy, and that carried it forward to the int SFP environment. So just like this, we have set up a playground, connected it to Git, and we can even take a look in Git. So we are in here in my Git, and we can refresh. We can look at the branches, and now what you can see is we have a branch, and we actually have a feature branch. And in this feature branch, I can actually see the force.app, objects, account fields, and there is the commit for my new custom field automatically pushed to my Git repo. So just like that, it took us about, this is a 20-minute video, but most of the time was the waiting, the creating the environment, the setting up of the credentials, the building it, the pipeline. Actually, on our side, it wasn't very many clicks. Just do an action, wait a little bit, do an action, wait a little bit. And we're able to get a successful pipeline set up. Then we're able to create a single custom field on the account object, create the corresponding user story, flag the commit, promote and deploy, and we watched it move across. So this is what you can do to set up a 6 environment simulated pipeline with a Copado Governance Org and be able to carry changes forward and back and get your hands deep into Copado and trying all of its powers. So I hope this was helpful. So thank you for joining the Copado Architect Corner. Say hello to my little playground. I hope you enjoyed this and join me again for future Copado Architect videos. Have a great day.